Hello! I'm actually filming away from home at the moment, so my lighting setup is not quite ideal, but I've done the best I can, and you can probably see the camera wobble every so often, and that's because I've actually had to mount the camera stand on the table that I'm using, and so when I do that, the whole camera goes. So yes, I'll do my best today. I am finally going to take a look at my Traveller's Company notebook and accessories that I have. I've been collecting them over this year from various places. I'll probably put some links down below as to where I got these things from. These are obviously from Japan. The best thing here is this gorgeous brass clip, and it's so useful for clipping a sketchbook open or, you know, pages down, things like that. It wasn't cheap, but I just couldn't resist it. I don't know what it is about brass, it just feels so nice and it's such a lovely colour. So yes, it was a bit pricey, but I just decided that it was too pretty to not get. And it's really strong too, so it's a very sturdy clip. The notebook came in this bag, and I've kept the bag to keep it protected. Now, I'd been wanting one for ages, and I bought it very early on this year, you know, with full intentions of making it into a lovely planner and all of that, but, well, we know what happened to 2020, I don't need to go into that. So yes, I'm afraid it's been a bit neglected, but I'm going to show it anyway because I think it's time to pull it out again. Okay, if you remember, my husband bought me the Traveller's Company pen for our anniversary, and as you can see, it's already developing a patina. I've not really touched it that much, but the thing with brass is it will tarnish and cause that patina, and you can clean it with Brasso or other polish like that. I thought I might just leave it for a while rather than obsessively polishing it all the time. I do quite like the fact that brass does develop a bit of a character almost. But this is the fountain pen by Traveller's Company. It's a really solid one. It is metal all the way through, and I've still got that little black cartridge in there which came with it. The ink is not waterproof, so I may end up having to use a different pen for something that I'm planning later, but I just thought I'd bring it out because it is so pretty, and I keep that in there. And you can see when you take the lid off, it's so tiny. So there's that. And I have not used this yet, this is brand new. I got this from Jet Pens, and it's the Traveller's Company brass ruler, and that's also heavy. It's 16 centimeters in length, which I could not tell you what that is in inches. What would that be, 5 inches, something like that? I will put that up on the screen when I convert it because I don't know anything about the imperial system, it's too confusing for me. But let's get on to the main attraction, this absolutely beautiful Traveller's Notebook. Now this is a passport size. There is a much taller one that goes up to about here, I think. And I did consider that, but I just thought this one just looks so much cuter and it fits in my handbag and things like that. Not that I've really been anywhere to need a notebook. It's got an elastic thingy stuck into it. It says it's actually made in Thailand, but the company is Japan. Although I think the pen is made in Japan, as is the clip and the ruler, but for some reason the leather notebook is made in Taiwan, so I don't know. This is camel, the colour is. I just thought this was really pretty. It is genuine leather, it is an animal product, so if you are vegan you probably won't want to get this, but I just cannot resist genuine leather. It smells so amazing, it's got a wonderful feel, and it just lasts in such a way that synthetic or plant-based leather just can't seem to get that same characteristic. It's still got a smell to it, and you can see it's got little scratches and things on it, but that's just something that once leather ages, it does develop kind of a character of its own. Right, so taking a look inside, I have actually set this up a little bit. I bought this extra. This is a pouch that goes through that rubber band there, and there's a little zipper case on this side, and on the back there's a couple of cases to put business cards and other random assortment of whatever you want. This one's a full pocket there, so you can put, you know, stickers or just things that you've collected. You can see this is where the outside elastic is attached to the inside of the cover. The actual Traveller's Journal came with one book. This is the notebook that's come inside. I am going to hide that front page because it's got some of my personal details on it, so it's just a nice soft paper. Now I'm not sure if this paper came with a choice. I think it was just a blank pad of paper that was the default, but you can also get ruled paper, those little dot grids, and you can also get the square ruled grids as well. I decided, because the little notebooks weren't very cheap, that I would just get the one, and then I actually added some of my own paper in here, which is watercolour paper. It's 300 GSM, and you can see I've just made some little, I don't know what that was. I think I was drawing my cup and it was just a total disaster. That one came out okay. Just little sketches that I did in this book, because originally I was going to use it as a planner, but then we got into lockdown, and today what I'm going to do, because I've actually filled this, I'm going to take this part out. This is the wonderful thing with these planners, because it's got this little band in here, you can add whatever you want inside. So I could take this plastic thing out, but I'm not going to because it was really hard to get in. It's got a bit of a notch there and that's not easy. But this basically is just the leather cover, and then you can add whatever booklets you like in here. And these little traveller's notebooks are really, really cute. Look, it's even got a passport thing on it. I mean, how adorable is that? Japanese stationery is just wonderful. So I keep this in here. I was going to do little planners and things, but yeah, it's not happening. And since then, I've actually pulled out a really large whiteboard that I've had in storage, and I've been using that to do all my planning for YouTube videos, and I will show that in the future because it's working really, really well. So I think I'm actually just going to keep this Traveller's Journal as a little sketchy notebook, and what I thought I would do today is replace these papers. So I had a rummage in my paper stash, and I've found all sorts of offcuts of Fabriano hot press paper that I have. Can you see on there that there is a watermark that says Artistico? Now that's really annoying when you're doing paintings to have that, so I pretty much always cut that off, but because the paper's expensive and it's really lovely, you know, these are really handy just to do little swatches and tests and things on. So I mean, for example, these two are far too small to fit in the book, but I'll keep them to make little colour tests and swatches on. But I thought I'd go through the paper, find some that is the same size, which, as we can see, this one is almost identical, and I can make some little pages with this offcut Fabriano paper, and I'll put it into my traveller's notebook. So let me just organise myself here. The one thing I forgot is my bone folder, which is what you'd use to fold the pages and, you know, make a nice crease. So I'm going to have to improvise, I think, today. I could use the metal one, I might try that, but I've also got a plastic ruler here, so I'll probably just end up using that. I mean, never mind, it doesn't matter too much. This paper is 300 GSM, but it's not quite as thick as this paper, which is a cold press and a much rougher texture, and this one seemed to be a bit harder to fold, so I think this one should be okay. Page here is 18 centimeters across by 12.5 centimeters down, so that's what I've measured out onto here, and I'll just cut this up, and I'm going to do this with a few more pieces. I'll probably do 3 sheets and fold them. I think I can get away with that third one this time around. I find it very hard to throw out any of the watercolour paper, even pretty much useless pieces like this, but I will put this into my folder of off-cut paper. You never know when it might come in handy for something. I found 2 more pieces which are very similar size, and so I'll use these. Both of them have the watermark on them. You can probably see that a little bit more. Check that out, that's exactly 12.5. It is a bit too wide across, so I will cut off an end. So what I do is just I usually make 2 marks when I'm ruling something, because if you only make one, it's still really easy to skew the ruler when you're ruling the lines. So if you make 2 lines, and it can be however much apart, but then you can line them up together and you get such a better result. And that should hopefully be straight, or much straighter than if I just eyeballed it and tried to cut it, because I almost always get it on an angle. In Australia, we do not use any imperial measurements. As you can see, this ruler does not have inches on it at all. This is entirely in centimetres. Most of our rulers will have millimetres on one side and centimetres on the other. This Traveller's Company is in centimetres. And I'm just looking around to see if there's any more rulers around. Oh, I found one which has millimetres on it. So most of the time this is what a ruler will look like in a metric living country. So you get your centimetres there and you'll have your millimetres there. Just FYI, in case you're from the USA, which I know a lot of my viewers are, so I just thought you might be interested in seeing that. And yes, it would be less awkward to hold it on the bigger side, but I'm really trying hard to not touch the paper with my oily hands, so I'm just using the little offcut side here to hold the paper. Top tip, the less you handle your watercolour paper the better, because if you get your thumbprints on and you put water on, you will see them. It's very annoying. I've done that any number of times, so I do try my hardest to not touch watercolour paper. Or even drawing paper, because just the oils of your hands can mess with so many art supplies, and it's just nicer if you don't get oil on the paper and leave it as acid free as possible. So what I'm going to do is put all of these papers together. Ideally, you don't want to have too many because the paper will start to push itself out, and as you can see, it does that. So you do get a wonky edge because the paper is pushing against each other, and when it's a 300 GSM one, you are going to get that. But I'm not too worried, it's going to be held loosely in here. So what I'm going to do is slide it in. I'm not too sure what I want to do with this notebook, but I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really know where else to put it. That looks like it's going to go in pretty much just as I want it. And look at that. A lovely uneven seam on there just to add to the character of this book. And then once you do that, it holds everything in, so beautiful. Okay, so here are all of my lovely Traveller's Company supplies. I think what I'm going to do now is a little painting on the first page of my book that I've made. So let me get it open. This page here. What I sometimes do with this is you can put that clip there and just hold the book open, so I'll probably end up doing that. I just did a quick little sketch. Basically a palm tree on a beach with some water and a boat and a bit of a sunset. That was my idea. I saw a picture, I think it was on Pixabay, somewhere like that, but I just kind of made most of it up. I liked the idea of the pink and blue sky, which is why I went for this one. I'm using my set of Holbein paints, which is a bit messy and I probably need to clean that palette at some point. This is hot pressed cotton paper, so it does tend to work a little bit differently to cold press, which is my preferred watercolour paper of choice, but I find that I really do like the Fabriano hot press. It's about the only hot press paper that I've ever found that I enjoy using, so I have quite a stash of it, as I've mentioned a few times before. So I'll just let this run through and I'll come back once I've finished the painting itself. Yes, that's right, I did end up using the pen. I decided I really wanted to include it in the video, so I'm just adding some line work to the painting, and because that ink is very water soluble, it has to be used at the end without adding more water to it, otherwise it's just going to run everywhere. But happily I got to use pretty much everything in this set. Here we go, a little sketch in the book. It's always fun just to have a little sketchbook just to paint mini pictures in, and I'm sure I will come up with some other ideas for these. As you can see, there's lots of lovely watermark paper down the bottom there, but I think once the paint covers it, it won't really be noticeable. So that's all I have for today. Let me just wrap up my little book here, and have I got the ruler? I'll probably slot that into when I'm out and about. I can just sort of shove all of this into my handbag and off I go. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and give a comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you all again in my next video, which will be really soon. Swatch you later. Bye.